Hi, welcome to Freezer Meals 101. I am Christy.
And I'm Charla, and today we're making quiches. We made them back in March when we did one of our mega sessions. We will put a link to it right there. But that's the first time we tried making quiches for the freezer. And we experimented quite a bit. We tried some with ham and different kinds of cheese in that one, and some with prosciutto and some just veggie, and we kind of played around. We made quite a few, and so
there isn't an exact science to make a quiche anyway.
Yep.
They're little tricky. You have the kinds that have the shell already, or the kinds that you make with the Bisquick, and it makes the crustless quiche, and it makes its own. And so we tried the ones with the shell, and keep going. I cut you off.
That's great. We ended up, we had to experiment a lot. That day, I'll say that we actually, we made them and did not cook them. So we froze them flat on a cookie sheet.
Yes.
And then later we wrapped them, because of course you can't wrap, you can't put plastic wrap on top of the liquidy quiche. We had to wait for it to be frozen before we could do that.
And
so
even
it was a
then,
process.
To put it in my freezer, I put cardboard in between them so that it didn't crush down on top of it, and that was kind of a thing.
And so it's more for that reason. They cooked okay, although...
And you could cook from frozen, but that definitely didn't work very well. They say you can, but it was really hard to
time it.
Because
when we experimented a lot. We made a lot of them that day, and so then we were able to kind of play around with different cooking temperatures, different cooking times, thawing them first, cooking them from frozen. Again, we've talked about this before, but this is kind of our test kitchen.
Yes.
And so we do experiment so that we can share with you what works best. And so after all of that experimenting, and one of them, the initial one, had a still raw center and almost burnt edges. And so not great.
No.
And
so the long and the short of it is cook your quiche and then freeze it.
Yes.
That's what we're going to do today.
That's the conclusion we've come to. It did work. And by the end, we had a system where we could figure out how long to cook them for, and that you definitely need to thaw them first and all of those things. But I think today, because of even Christy was saying with the stacking them on top of each other and having to be careful with that, we are just going to make it less complicated, because we're all about making your lives easier.
That's the whole point here. We don't want to make it more complicated for ourselves or for you. Definitely we'll make it the easiest way we can make it.
And so after all of that testing, we've decided that we are making the quiches, cooking the quiches, and then wrapping and freezing the quiches. And then on the day that we want to serve them, you're just reheating. So then you can't really mess that up. And you always have quiche. And one of our reasons for doing this now is we thought maybe you could make this for Christmas morning.
It would be nice. So I wore my Christmas apron today. It's new.
Very nice.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know what your Christmas morning traditions are, but if you have a house full, sometimes your good old wife saver isn't going to cut it, and you need to add a few extra things. And quiche is a great one to add. It isn't for everybody. Not everybody loves quiche.
No.
And my
actually,
kids don't super love it. It's the kids that don't like it, right?
Yeah. Some of my kids do, some of them don't. And so, but Christy and I really do. And so sometimes on days that we're filming, we will cook up a quiche for us to have for lunch. Yeah.
That's right.
So even in talking about doing this video today, we were like, oh, then we could have some for future lunches.
We could have it for lunch today.
We could.
We have another lunch plan for today.
We do. We did paneer curry and paneer vindaloo a while back in a freezer. I'll figure out what recipe it's or what video it's in, and I'll put it there. But because it is good, and so I picked up some naan and that kind of thing. So we're gonna make some rice, and we have that, and so we're gonna have an East Indian buffet today for our lunch.
Lucky us. So let's get started on the quiche.
So for this recipe, we are quadrupling, and because we're making 4 quiches, we're using the deep dish frozen pie shells. So very, very easy. So we are doing 20 eggs, 4 cups of heavy cream, salt, and some spinach. We are doing about 1 cup of spinach per recipe, so 4 cups of
just chopped spinach.
Prosciutto, we've got about
2 cups.
2 cups for the 4 quiches, so about half a cup per. And some Swiss cheese. So we're gonna whip that all up, and then we're gonna place those onto a cookie sheet and bake them in a 350-degree oven for 45 minutes. We're gonna allow those to cool before we wrap them.
If you wrap them while they're still warm, you're gonna get ice crystals. And it's just going to kind of ruin the texture. Well, it'll be watery when you defrost it. So just let it cool properly and you shouldn't have any problems.
Exactly. And then you're gonna freeze them and reheat them.
Ooh, we're gonna get a king egg out of this. Do you ever play the king egg? I know. You know what I mean though.
No.
Oh, every time they match up, one's gonna win and one's gonna lose. This one already has a ding, so it's gonna lose. And whatever egg at the end is the king of all the eggs.
Oh, like you're...
They're battling every time.
Oh.
I'm a nerd. Sometimes Van and I will put faces on them and decorate
so
them.
fun.
It is. Yeah. Oh, see? That was the winner for like 6 eggs. New winner.
Okay.
Really, you should end up with the strongest egg.
All right. I did not know this.
Yeah. I saw a guy, it was like on Reddit or something years ago, say that he does it with M&Ms. He breaks them, he smashes them together and eats the loser until he gets to the final winner, and then he sends it back to Hershey or whoever makes M&Ms and says, "This is your standard." And I'm like, I've been doing this for years with eggs. Never thought I should send the egg back to the farmer and say, "This is the standard." Oh, got a new winner. Oh, who's gonna be the winner? Oh, king egg! Woo! And then, okay, this part's a little bit mean, but then I crack the egg because I have to show him who's boss. It's all about Christy validation.
Nice things about these make-ahead quiches is that if you live on your own, you can actually cut the quiche after you cook it, and you can wrap the pieces individually. And you can portion it, like depending on how large a piece you think you would eat. And then you can put those, so you would plastic wrap the individual pieces, and then you would place those into a freezer bag so that you get like some extra protection on that from the freezer burn. And then you can just like microwave one piece at a time.
You totally can.
You can have your own like fancy brunch on a Sunday, right? Because just because you live on your own does not mean
that you can't do freezer meals.
Yeah, or that you can't eat well.
Absolutely.
Like, and have those fancy meals.
And I think when you live on your own, that's one of the hardest things.
Yes.
For singles and just couples. It's hard to cook for 1 or 2 people. We hear it all the time. We really hear it all the time, and we hear that people have, once they've discovered freezer meals, how much better it is that they can cook and they can scale it down. Did you know that we have a Freezer Meals membership club that does all that for you? You can adjust your recipe so you can make a smaller amount, or you can make a regular one and just divide it up a little bit smaller, and you can have those meals for 1 or 2. You can still eat well. You can still eat just not cereal and
like be
or
real
forget to
food.
eat. Yeah,
totally.
you really can.
You know, I hear it from my mom how it's hard to motivate yourself to cook when you're just cooking for yourself. So
and we even do it. If I'm the only one home and my kids aren't home and my husband's not home, I will eat popcorn for supper.
Totally, because I mean, our freezer meals are usually portioned into large family size portions, and you don't want to like take out a whole freezer meal just for yourself.
And I don't want to cook something just for myself.
Totally.
To do that day in and day out, oh gosh, freezer meals are a total godsend for singles and couples.
Absolutely. And if you live on your own and you don't want to cook every day, because that's hard.
Yeah.
To try to get yourself to do that every day just for yourself or just for 2 of you.
But you can take out and reheat.
But if you just cook 1 day solid and you can eat for the month, like that's amazing.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
So,
and on the note of freezing your quiche individually, you can do it for pumpkin pie too. You go to Costco and you get the big pumpkin pie, you know what I'm talking about. And then you can portion those up, and honestly, you can just cut it and eat one, and then separate them a bit so that there's a little bit of room in there, and just freeze the whole thing, because if you eat it fast enough, you won't get freezer burn. That's my tip of the day. But you can totally freeze pumpkin pie and do the same thing with the quiche.
Kitchen tips from Christy.
How to get more pie into your life.
Because we all need more pie.
Everybody needs more pie.
Quiche pie or pumpkin pie or apple pie. Did you know you can freeze all pie? I shouldn't say all, because you can't freeze like lemon meringue pie. Don't try that.
Don't do that. I don't know why you couldn't freeze the curd. Like,
yeah, you can, but not the meringue. Yeah, do not freeze meringue.
No, you might run into trouble there.
Okay, so we've gone off on a bit of a tangent, which we always do. Or often do, but the gist of it is we made quiches. Now you know how, and
you should do that.
And great Christmas morning idea.
Totally.
So thanks for joining us today, and happy cooking.
Bye.